Session 9, Hack the Planet, Cleaner Crew. And we've mixed it up. We've dropped 2 people. Well, we didn't. That sounds bad. 2 people left willingly of their own accord. And we have 2 new people because the gauntlet is drop in, drop out. And that is good and fine. So let's go left to right. Darren, do you want to introduce your character?
I would love to, if I can remember who I am. I've played too much of this game. My character's name is Gabraish. They are non-binary but femme presenting. So you'll probably hear me accidentally refer to my own character by she, her pronouns, but I mean, that's fine. Like it's they, them, she, her, either or. And they're a haunt, so they're kind of like hackery. They're integrated into this like haunt community. So it's this like subversive group, like a hacker collective, I guess is a good way to call them. Other than that, they are a tattoo artist, a tattooer, and they tattoo a lot of like data runners. So that whole she's like hooked into kind of that community too in a way. What else is there to say about Gabraish?
Data runners, for Steve's benefit, are people that are basically they have tattoos on them, but the tattoo ink has nanites in it that holds data. So basically, when you need something like moved in the streets in a safe place that isn't like, because information is literally everywhere and controlling information, people download sensitive information like underworld schematics and all that kind of stuff into these tattoos, and then it's called the sneaker net, where people literally run these things to a location and get it downloaded, and usually the client has the code word that allows them to download it, and the person, the sneaker, doesn't have that. So if they're ever caught, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, I want to bring them. That'll be my wish for this session. So I want to bring that into the game more because it's also my advice and I don't have a trauma. So, but then I guess what Gabraish is usually wearing is just like loose fitting. It's not even like clothes, I don't think. I really picture it as just fabric drapes of like yards of fabric that's belted onto them somehow. And they're bald, lots of tattoos. Oh, and then their skin is like kind of like looks a little plasticky. And I don't know how that works with sweat, and I don't want to go into it. So that's Gabraish.
Cool. And how about Jesse?
All right, so I'm guest starring in this episode. I actually play in one of Fraser's other series called the Blue Oolong. So my character is in that other gang called Blue Solace, but I guess we'll have to figure out why you guys have maybe asked me to help you out today at this point. But I'm playing Silver, she, her. She is a tipper, so she's older, kind of in probably my guess is 50-ish, early 50s, but doesn't really look it and tries to hide it. So, you know, like her long graying hair is dyed like metallic silver with like, you know, side of the head shaved on one side. Let's see. She is a fuse. So she's kind of on that stealthy, like infiltrator kind of character, military background, kind of was like special operator, then went private and ended up actually working for some of the wonderful corporations that led to the downfall of you know, our weather system and all, and the whole collapse that happened. Justified a lot of that by, you know, like, hey, I'm just doing my job. I'm not the one polluting the planet. I'm not the one doing, you know, blah, 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 whatever. But eventually, since then, has realized, oh crap, I was part of this problem, and is now actively trying to take down these corporations and the people in them. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's about all I've got for Silver. I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything that would be useful to know for how to integrate me into the group, but yeah.
And we actually did a fun flashback episode where it was like 20 years before, when the shelter, or 20, 30 years, something like that, when Shelter 1 was still being constructed, and Silver did like a special job against, like, I think a formative Nourish establishment or something, right?
That was fun.
So yeah. So y'all old.
Does Silver know Yeji? Too bad
That's a
Yeji's not
really
here, but
no who? I'm sorry.
Yeji.
That's your character.
No, it was Mike's character. He's not here. But
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
two old fuses.
Yeah, it could be that at some point you guys have met. Yeji's like a old fuse who literally since session 1 had been hatching this plan against Nourish that they executed the last session.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Yoshi Cross.
Sure. So I'm Caselin Karstis, but my street name is Cross. I've got a scar over my left eye, which is where the cybernetic is. I'm not like I am the edge, so I am the like get in your face brawler person, but like she her pronouns. She's not very tall, but she's extremely fit and active and tries to sort of hide how like how strong she is. She downplays it. She's only like 5'3", so she's not like super tall or anything, or not like overly ripped. Wears clothes that kind of like hide how muscly and strong she actually is within that. She definitely wants to take down Nourish, as extolled before. Works with a lot of Forge communities. Like my vice is obligation. So like I'm working with a lot of Forge refugees in Shelter 1 to make sure that they're set up, that they can work when people are bothering them. I'm sort of the mob hitman that goes in and makes sure that the people bothering those refugees don't do that again, type thing. So stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool. And Steve, do you want to introduce your new character?
Sure. My character's Elysian. His alias is the Old Man. He looks, he's male, has gray hair. He has a brain implant. He has a cerebral implant. Usually wears like a lab coat or something like that. His root is foundation. And his vice is luxury, and his background is academic. I picture him as someone who helped form the society, but then something happened and he was kicked out. So he's now with the street dregs trying to overthrow. And I think luxury is his vice because he's trying to get back to that place of power, to that easy street that he had before. He has friends. He's in good terms with Shira, a chop shop owner, bad terms with Elise, a haunt. Playbook is Torque, which is someone who can wreck and repair, creator, that kind of stuff. I picture him as kind of a street doc, which is one of the powers that I took, or one of the moves that I took, and is constantly trying to fix people up.
Cool. I like that a lot. I actually just commissioned, well, I commissioned a lot of work, but I commissioned a piece for a street doc. I'll put it in the Hangouts just for fun, because I just got it today and it was exciting.
Can't wait for your Shadowrun game.
It'll never happen. But there you go. Cool. So,
well, maybe we brought you into the community garden because if we're establishing a like a community center, maybe we wanted to get your like medical expertise.
Yeah. Well, was any of the constant gardeners injured too? Because that would be a likely thing. No. Oh yeah. So we should recap that as well, right? Like what happened? Does someone want to do that? I could too, but I feel like I'm talking a lot.
I can give it a whirl. I think my recaps are very light, but we just the last session, our Nourish thing.
Yeah, I think so.
We broke into Nourish. We all kind of like ended up with plots that converged. So they like blasted a hole into the side of the building so they could set up an act of God to suck it up, basically. And then I like infiltrated because I'm sneaky like that sometimes. And then we somehow got past some guards, and then Cross got hooked up a Wi-Fi router into their server, and then I rolled a critical, which was very exciting, and we got a lot of good data. And then Yeji went to a board meeting, killed everybody, and made the CEO drink her blood disease. That was it.
After bringing their child into an elevator and holding it hostage to make them do it.
Yep,
yeah.
Like
and the act of God.
Yeah.
Well, and the act of God that hit, I have a Pinterest thing that kind of shows it, is like that big building with a lightning bolt hitting it. They found a faction that can kind of do that, like weather hacking basically, and make acts of God happen. And so they basically scheduled one to hit there and then cracked open the building so that when it did hit, it just like wrecked the building basically. And mechanically what they did was they dropped the entire corporation from tier 5 to tier 4. It was pretty intense. There was a lot of desperate actions where everybody could have died, and they kept rolling very well. So it was good, and probably a lot of XP. I forget though, did we do the fallout from that yet? In terms of money and heat and all that kind of stuff? No, right? Or did we?
I think we did the money.
Did you?
Yeah, I think we did, because I have a lot of money on my sheet, and that was not the case before that job. So I'm pretty sure we did the fallout for that.
Okay.
I think we did heat too, because we're at 1 at level 2 and only 1 heat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Okay. That's good that we did that. Mm-hmm. Cool. So we're technically in downtime, which makes sense. So we just need to explain how you hooked up with Silver and Steve's character that I forget the name of.
I see a couple of possibilities for why I might have been asked to help out, like since other people aren't here. Like a couple possibilities. We use tattoos on all of our members, and I know that you mentioned that you're Darren. You mentioned your character is a tattoo artist. I'm wondering if you're the tattooist that we send people to for these. Like basically, we have tattoos that are on our right hands up to our forearms and then kind of like fade out in like into like normal skin, but we can actually turn the pigment on and off at will. So like part of our like business dealings is like we extend a hand for a handshake and our arms turn blue to like signify that this is blue solace making a promise or something. So I'm wondering if we send new members to maybe to you and you got word back that you needed an extra hand for something or something like that, and so I might be around because of that. Possibly.
Yeah, I think that's super cool.
Nice.
I want to tattoo everyone.
Sick. I love it.
I love that they're like, well, we'll send our like old experienced fuse to help you out. That was a good trade, I think.
I dig it.
Cool. Well, it would be like all the news cycle would be about is this stuff, right? Like, and the fallout, because basically they knew that if they could bump down Nourish enough, Carrion, which is like the embodiment of that bird, basically, would swoop into Nourish and try to like wrestle power from them, because Carrion is also a group of mercenaries. They think of them as a tier of mercenaries, just like you guys, like regular players who have worked themselves up to tier 4 and kind of become the thing that they hate, right? Like they now embody, capitalism and corporate culture and all that kind of stuff. So it's very much like political games within the faction, and them not caring about human life and just wanting power and trying to get a seat on the corporate council. So as soon as Nourish was hit, you can bet that they, the feeding frenzy began basically, and those two factions are probably at war now, which is intense for the city because there'd be a lot of fallout for the little people basically when that happens. Cool. So For Jesse and Steve, can you go to the gear and hit display name and change your characters up like Yoshi and Darren have, just for a quick reference? Because I'm often not in the character thing, and so when I'm referencing people, it's easier to look at your names down there than to try to go to your characters and try to remember.
Did that work?
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. That's good. Awesome. Yeah, silver I don't think I'll have a problem with, but you never know, I guess.
Yeah, still makes sense to put it up there. I got it.
Yeah, cool. So, old man, how do you think that you have come?
So I think I'd be a little desperate. Does anyone need a doctor for any reason? From the last.
Not from the last session, but maybe I've gone to you in the past, because I am definitely a character that gets hurt. So
Yeah.
I have that potential to get hurt. So.
And what would constant gardeners have to give me? Cover?
Maybe. Like, what's your drive? You just want to get back to luxury. You want to get.
I don't think that's necessarily my drive. I just think that that's where I came from.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think I might. So maybe I'm on the run from the from the people in power. Who are
Yeah.
trying to keep me out. Yeah.
Okay.
I could totally see us giving you cover as well as like protection. Like, we are a group of mercenaries.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good place to lay low, kind of. I'd say normally, but they just pulled a huge job against Nourish, but
well, maybe that's part of it too. Like, maybe because things are really crazy in the city right now, it's especially bad for you.
Okay. So, did you guys change on factions here? For institutions, I'm going to add Nourish in there as a tier 4, and we'll actually say they're weak right now. And you're definitely going to be, well, they don't technically know that you pulled it off, right? Oh no, they did. That was part of the thing, right? That that Gabraish was like literally signed the information. So when they pulled the heist, they basically ripped all this data off of the hard drives at Nourish, and then Gabraish like live streamed it basically to the world, and also signed it as their hacker name, right? Like brought to you by Gabraish or whatever, right? So I think it's definitely safe to say at least -2. I don't think there's a war yet because they haven't situated themselves yet with that. And I think the difference is that Carrion is now in a strong position, and those two are at war now. Auditors, -1, Red Leaves 1, Split Peas 3, Coil. Cool. I think split fees find out we can delete as a clock. Also, there's a side thing of Carrion wanting to find out the haunt community, because that was a side thing. Gabraish was hacking them and they're backtracing, so I'll leave that on there. And you have a +3 satisfaction with split peas, so that sounds good. Cool. Okay. So that's the bookkeeping aspect. So we're going to go into downtime, Steve, which means that like after you pull off a job, you enter this phase where everybody gets 2 downtime actions that are on the reference sheet. It would be, oops, I don't have the reference sheet open. I think it's just page 1 in the reference sheet, though. It has a list of the downtime actions that you can do, but the fiction here at a player level, we know that all the actions that you do are safe. So there's no like risky standard positions and stuff like that. It's the players doing their own thing. It's sort of like the player turn in Mouse Guard. Think of it like this is your bag. You have full discretion to flavor your scenes and describe what's happening to the full extent that you want. And after downtime, we enter free play, which is you can do basically whatever you want, but it becomes still risky and all that kind of stuff. And then after free play, generally we'll be doing a score. And then, so there's the 3 different segments of the game that we move through. And let me just get that. There we go. Yeah, so it would be page 2 of the reference sheet on the bottom right corner, downtime. So you can acquire an asset, long-term project, recover, reduce heat, train, indulge a vice. That's the things that we're going to be doing now. So, Darren, do you want to start off with your first downtime action?
I would be honored. I really want to finish expanding this turf to put that to rest. And I think that makes sense as something I could do. And that's how I left off last time. I was like, Gabricious laying low and putting on the gloves. Does anybody want to do some good community gardening? To expand, the idea is we're expanding the turf. So it's like cleaning away, building up new buildings and setting up new stands. And
I mean, I totally want to go with you because I think it plays into my downtime action of I'm going to go vice, which is obligation to go help everybody else. But I think maybe what this is and how this ties in is I go to my purveyor and get a bunch of the forge refugees and basically get them work helping us like clean up the garden and do things like that to get them doing something that helps build up the community so they're more involved. They feel like things are going on. And so like that's part of like how I'm helping, and it sees us working together, and maybe that leads into you helping me like hack to get into the sneaker net. So I'm totally down for helping you.
Cool. Well, hopefully I get my 2 ticks. What am I doing? How do I do this? I pick a skill, right? How have I played this for 2 months and I still don't know what I'm doing?
Pick an action, and then you'll make a roll to see how many ticks you get towards that clock.
I think I am tinkering.
Sounds good.
And then a bonus die.
6. So 3 ticks.
I overexpanded the turf.
Yes, you excelled. Excelsior. Cool. So why don't we also describe the community garden, since the 2 new characters don't know what it looks like, and it's also, I like us moving forward in time a little bit and saying how it's changed or added extra different things or stuff like that too. So do you want to start, Yoshi, and tell us a little bit about the garden?
Yeah, so I think it very much is like a community garden in that sense. Like it's in the center of a neighborhood, and there's a bunch of like planter boxes, like raised planter boxes that people go in. But it's also got like a perimeter around it, like sort of like a fence type thing. So like there's specific entrances and things like that. So like one of the things that we did early on was when we were expanding turf is basically making like the outside edges things where people can come and go in and out, but have like useful things. So like part of that is like cover for us in the sense that a lot of people go in and out. So like it's easy to lose people on who it is. And there's a lot of other things that are going on there.
Right. And Gabrish, what else do we know? What else do we see on camera about the garden?
We talked about before there was there's like a central like patio basically where there's seating, and then there's also some like trees, so it's also this like makeshift orchard a little bit, and there's like the planter boxes, and the closer you get to that central patio there's like regular like tilled dirt and fields, and then there's like I forget all my gardening words. There's like the trellises, yeah, that's it, with like plants growing off of them. And like we mentioned before, like as the sessions went on, of course they like grew denser as we were able to plant more, and there were more people helping out, things like that. So it's like this very like busy, full space that you can wander through. Yeah, gazebo. Go with it.
Cool. And so now with these two new characters, why don't you, if you guys have an idea, paint the scene a little bit too, and like say like what has been added to this space that tells like the audience as they come in on it that there's two new people that have like added their own little bits maybe to the garden. Do you want to start, Jesse?
Yeah, absolutely. I already been thinking about this as you're doing it, and I was very excited about it. So I'm imagining that, like, as part of like in my introduction to this crew and everything, probably happened, through, is it Gabrish? Is that how it?
Gabrish.
Gabrish, yeah, Gabrish's character, through the tattoo stuff. I'm imagining that I brought some seeds from a tea plant that is genetically modified to have like actually produce like blue leaves, from the blue oolong, is kind of like a little peace offering and stuff. I maybe have like a little corner where I've planted some tea plants for you guys to just as part of your to add to the garden. That's interesting.
Yeah, I like it. And Steve?
Yeah, so I think that because time has passed a little bit, was there already an existing like vegetable garden? There was. So there's already food and that kind of stuff. I think that area has grown. So I think that the number of people coming in and out has grown quite a bit because there's more plenty here. There's more food to supply um, the denizens, the people who come in and out, and they are more healthy, of course.
Cool. I like it. Yeah.
For the expanding turf, is like the front business a good one to take for this?
Oh, let me check. Yeah, I think we had something.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it could be front business. I like that, especially the way Steve just described it, right? You could be literally like making money off of this. Like it's now become profitable too, right?
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
That's what I was thinking about too.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a protection racket. I'll probably change that to something else in the later game, but I've preserved some of the stuff from the
hot surveillance. We're putting cameras in the plants.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool.
It's not in the plants, it's in the trellises.
Oh, right. We tell people it's in the plants.
Yeah.
No one trusts plant life anymore.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so that sounds good. And so next downtime, you'll roll a tier and minus heat. Cool. And okay, Jesse, do you want to do a downtime action or Silver?
Yeah, first thing I need to do is indulge my vice, reduce some stress here because I got really stressed out in our last thing. So let's see, I have a link real quick. My vice is stupor. She's an addict, and pasting an example of what this drug kind of looks like. I don't know if any of you have played the adventure games like The Longest Journey, Dreamfall, any of that stuff. There's a particular drug that's like a combination of tech and biological stuff, whereas like little silver disc, set it down on the bed next to you as you lie down, press a button, and out of it like blooms like a vine, and then a flower that like kind of cups over your face, and like the pollen is engineered to basically be a like paralytic and hallucinogen, so you go on a nice little trip. So I'm going to indulge that vice real quick.
Silver's very into the garden. Oh, nice.
6. All right.
And is that good? No overindulging?
I had exactly 6, so that clears me completely. So I am de-stressed.
Yeah.
And then I'm imagining, so are we doing both things right now, or are we kind of going around doing one?
We'll just do one and then go around again.
Excellent.
Cool. Steve, do you have an idea for old man's first downtime ever?
Yeah, so I think I'd like to reduce heat.
Cool. How is it that you do that?
So I think this is going to be, since I haven't engaged with much of the mechanics, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to engage with some of the mechanics. This.
Oh no. I bet
I
he
feel
was
like
refreshed or
They
something.
got him.
Yeah. That was kind of funny. Not that often is what happens to Darren. So,
Oh
we'll
my
see.
god.
At least
I
it looks
probably
like,
did the same thing.
yeah, it looks like he changed the screen maybe or something. Oh, there we go. He's back. That was quick. Hey, Steve.
I just popped out all of a sudden.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. It happens to Darren a lot, actually. Well, not a lot. It happens
Yeah, that was
sometimes.
only like one session.
Yeah.
Weird.
So, yeah.
So I was in the middle of saying that how do I reduce the heat? I think that what I'm trying to do is I'm running from something and I kind of want to cover my trail.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what that skill would be. Maybe hack.
Sure. Well, the nice thing is that when you're doing the heat, it's literally like anything that you want within reason, basically. So, like, any way that you can think of justifying it in the fiction of reducing heat, basically, is the thing. So you could be like, someone could just be like, I go rough up some witnesses, or yeah, you could hack stuff to get rid of information, however you want, and in turn, since this is very it's fiction first but also player driven, so you can frame it as sort of your best action as well if you can justify it in the fiction to be able to get the best die result for reducing heat, and you always succeed. So even if you like fail, you're still making one heat go away, and then it increases the better your result.
Okay, so I think in this case, I see that Yossi suggested I try Tinker. So Tinker, the narratively, what's happening there is I'm going in and I'm modifying the ways, like this would be the ways that the transportation that I got here. Any kind of cameras that might have been able to see me, I'm erasing things like that. How does a roll work in this
In
system?
this system, yeah. So what you would do is you would just click on that ability, Tinker, and it will
Okay.
pop up. You
Yep.
don't need to worry about the position and effect at all.
Okay.
And for bonus die, you can still push yourself even in downtime. You can add 2 stress to your stress track and get an additional die to do it, but it's pretty low stakes. Most people save their stress for scores or stuff that's really important to them, so I wouldn't probably bother with that.
Okay, so I submitted.
So you got a 6. So what that means, so you roll 3 dice and we take the highest,
Okay.
and a 6 is the best result, and you get rid of 3 heat. So an additional thing that you can interact with in downtime is you can spend jewels. In this game is what money is, and yeah, that's an important thing that I didn't convey yet. So jewels in this game, there's skilled labor that makes these sheaths of stuff in varying forms, from like huge ones that are recessed underground that are power supplies from like giant corporations and buildings use, to small ones that are like the actual ammunition in guns and stuff like that. And then those things are powered by kinetic energy, which is generally where people in prison are basically sentenced to do this winding up and charging of jewels. So that's the sort of main technology in the game that powers most everything, and also your money and currency, so that if you go to Forge communities, they would care nothing for your currency in Shelter 1. So this is me making a commodity that it would be usable everywhere, basically. So you can spend a jewel to increase your result in downtime actions, in all of them, actually. And it's especially good when you roll a 6, because it increases it by 2 instead of 1. So right now you would clear 3 heat, but if you spend 1 jewel, you can actually clear 5. And if you rolled a lower result, it only increases it by 1. So I mention it when people roll 6s because it's kind of like a good deal.
I don't know that I started with any jewels.
Oh, we can say that you started with at least 2, we'll say.
Okay.
We only have
And
1 heat right now, too.
We only
What?
have one heat.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, do you?
Don't spend your money on it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, you
And
only have heat, and you have 2 wanted level though. Ooh.
what was the last thing? 2 wanted level?
Yeah, there's a wanted level in the game which can only be dropped by incarceration, essentially. And the higher the wanted level, after each job, I roll what's called an entanglement, which is like uh, stuff that happens due to the friction and the heat that you accrue in the game. And the higher the wanted level, the kind of like worst things get for you in the game.
So with reduced heat, since I went over the amount, is there an overindulge effect as well?
No, unfortunately, not with heat.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like the fictional positioning that you did, so I wish we could mechanically show that somehow.
We just take off a wanted level. That's fine.
And time has passed, so yeah, we'll do that then. Yeah, nice. So yeah, just remove the heat and only have 1 wanted level. There we go. I did that.
So
So there you go.
narratively, what that would look like is on screen, I've modified. I said I was modifying to erase my tracks to get here and that kind of thing, and I think I've actually inserted someone else who was incarcerated then, and that's why our wanted level went low.
Oh, awesome! I really like that and appreciate the extra mile. Sweet. Yoshi. Let's see the first downtime action for Cross.
Yeah, so I think this is sort of what I was talking about before, is going to Orlin, my vice purveyor, which is really the guy who's kind of like monitoring a bunch of Forge refugees coming into Shelter 1, and like saying that basically he's telling me that like, hey, these guys, we have a bunch here, but they feel really like apathetic and lethargic. They need some activity to like feel like they're part of the community, and so like that's how I get them to come help us. We pay them, so like we give them a little bit of money to do it, but like that's how like integrating into Gabratia's like expanding the turf type thing of like giving them some meaning, like some meaningful activity, so they feel like they're a part of something instead of feeling like they're just here not doing anything.
Cool. I like that.
All right, indulge vice.
See how it makes you feel. Nice, pretty good. 5.
Yeah. Cool.
How much did you have?
7, so it drops me down to 2.
Nice. Cool. And then let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back. We'll do the rest of downtime and maybe hop to a free player score or something. So let's come back at 23. Does that sound good? Good. I'll see you then. You doing okay, Steve? I know it's like a whole lot of information to dump on people, but
No, I'm doing fine. I'm having some weird computer problems. I think I'm not interacting. I'm trying not to interact with the Roll20 stuff much because that seems to slow things down. So like my video will freeze and I have to wait a little while for it to come back. So,
okay.
but yeah, I'm doing well. The information's not that bad.
Okay. I think on our end, I haven't seen you freeze. I think you get pixely sometimes, but that's about it.
So far, the only time I've had an issue, technology-wise, is whenever I dropped. Otherwise, everything froze, but all the audio was still there.
Oh.
And you could hear me too. Yeah.
Yeah, weird. Okay.
That's
yeah,
what happened.
I know Roll20 is weird with those sheets though. Like when I edit them and stuff, I can like hear the fan start going and I'm like, what is these sheets doing? Like it shouldn't be intense. So yeah. Like it's more loud editing these Roll20 sheets than when I'm doing like design work in InDesign and Photoshop. So like okay. It's just yeah, how it does, I guess. I don't know. It is strange though.
That sounds like what was happening to me when I would drop, because I would like switch to the Roll20 tab and then come back and I would be kicked out of Google.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's been fine.
Yeah, maybe my sheets will be not like that. I don't know.
Just don't put like a full like freaking program into them.
Yeah.
They're nice, but they're very intense.
Yeah. Okay, so we're back. Darren, do you want to do second downtime?
Yeah. So, well, I think what I want to do is I want to get another cybernetic thingy.
Cool.
I don't know if that. Well, I guess that can be a downtime, right? So, but I don't know. How does that work?
It's 5 joules per one that you times the one that you are getting. So if it's your first one on that track, it's 5, and then next one 10, and then next one 15.
Can I haggle with you to make it 3 joules?
Sure. Do you want to make it a roll?
Oh man, but then I could have a messed up.
Well, no. I won't be. No, it's downtime, right? I'm not going to be like, you get a fucked up one. I'm just saying, like, you can probably get. It makes sense that even in free play, you'd be able to get a cybernetic, right? So downtime, if you want to use one of your actions to like haggle to lower the cost, we could just reduce it by your result level, right? Like 1, 2, 3.
Okay, cool.
That seems legit to me.
Yeah, I'm very into that. What I want to do is I want to expand the cybernetic I already have, which is like Gabricia's hands, and let's whatever expand tools and stuff. And I want to do that for an entire arm, so like the arm can split apart and become 2 arms, which is casual, normal human experience.
Casual double arm, yeah.
So maybe this is like a sway, right? Because I need to find someone to do it and convince them to do it for cheaper.
Sure. Well, we can just make somebody up for you finding somebody, especially if you're in the data tattooist. I'm sure you know people who are kind of like adjacent to that.
That's something I could actually do.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. That would be great. Maybe after you got here, I brought this up too, and I was like, listen, I want 3 arms. What do you got?
I'm picturing the like GIF where the guy's like, "Whoa!" Mind explosion.
Cool. Yeah, let me roll sway, and we'll see if I can get the goods.
Yeah. So I guess this will be mostly about getting the parts cheaper then, right? Because you already have a dock to do it.
Oh yeah. You want to put my arm into my arm?
It's a weird way to phrase it, man.
Well, you know.
There you go. Bam. So.
Oh my God.
So maybe you have
free.
do you think you get like it's not free? It's still 2 jewels, right? Because you reduce it by 3, and I guess yeah, it'd be weird because you could pay a jewel to increase the downtime action, and then save 1 jewel. I guess, right? That would be funny. But it's sort of like a custom move thing anyway. But I think 2 jewels would make sense anyway, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's really good. So, and then just make sure that maybe what I would do on your sheet is always have the last one as colored in right now, so you know that you already have like a permanent stress mark on it.
I will write a note because if you click the last one, it'll just fill it all up.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense then. Sounds good.
So I have to. The only way I can get rid of that stress box is by clearing it, like indulging my vice, right?
So if you want to get that permanent stress box back now, you can put XP towards a stress track.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is
Got it.
3, 6, 8 ticks. So if any of the other ones, 3, 6, 3, 6, 9. So it's like 1 less than the playbook one, or 1 more than in insight, prowess, resolve 1.
I mean,
And
can you
that's-
make an 8-tick clock on your
Oh yeah,
sheet?
that would be good. There you go. Yoshi's smart. That's the good stuff. Mm-hmm.
And so that's filled in with 1 already from the cybernetic, or my regular stresses.
This is a whole new track that you'll be putting it towards.
Okay.
So when you get XP, you can just click the clock as though it's a stress track thing.
And then when I fill that, I get my stress tick back.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. Yoshi's life hacking the sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And then mark your extra action dot for that cybernetic piece too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd get an extra dot in something.
Man, what do I do with 3 arms?
Yeah, how does it primarily help you? In what action?
I mean, I'm thinking that this is gonna be, well, maybe it's finesse because I can do more, better.
Do more, better. Okay, sure. I was thinking it could definitely help you hacking and stuff too, like the ghost in the shell secretary person for the 5 seconds.
Well, that's what I got my hands for. That was the first thing.
Right. Okay.
But now I have a whole new arm, so I can shoot someone while I'm hacking.
Okay. Watch your back. Sounds good. I like it. And then so the next time you get a cybernetic, it'll consume 2, and then the next time 3, and etc. Right?
And then that stress track, or like the clearing stress track, will go up too, right? So 8 becomes 10.
Right. And then the cool thing about it too, for people who want system mastery, is in the future, since it's a downtime thing that you could totally do during a job, you could flash back to getting a cybernetic to have an extra action dot to do something that you really need to do if you had the cash to do it, right? So that's why.
I have a mechanical question.
Sure.
So you said you put a dot next to your cybernetics. How do you know what that is?
Yeah, on the sheet you know it because it's the red dots.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But on this one we can't really know. So maybe just make like a note or something so that you can flavor it when you actually use it.
Or you could do like Steve is doing in Life Hack and just print out the sheet and use that.
Yeah, that's the thing too, I guess. But mechanically, if you're rolling in Roll20, you need to put the stuff in anyway. So cool. Jesse, are you still here? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to do a downtime
Sorry, I was
action?
just sneezing. I figured you didn't want to watch or hear that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So second, I actually have a question about this because I'm playing with a crew that's not my standard. I want to do training and I want to do resolve training. My crew has the resolve training upgrade. This one does not. Which should I go with? I'm cool either way. I don't.
I don't care. You can use it if you want.
If you don't care, then I'll take the two ticks instead of 1. So why
sure.
not? Mm-hmm. But what I'm imagining, So I think I'm working towards probably consort is what I want to go for. But my fictional thing of this is I think it's me going to the community garden and tending the like sprouts of the tea plants that I've planted there, and kind of just low key interacting with members of the Constant Gardeners, just as I'm there in the area. So I'm imagining the tea plants kind of having been a symbolic thing. I'm not getting any benefit out of these tea plants that I've planted. Like, just tea plants aren't actually, you can't harvest anything from them for like 6 years until they've been planted. So so I imagine it being kind of a symbolic like gesture of like, hey, I'm going to be around group wise. We're at least not going to be like coming after you or anything like that. So yeah, I imagine that being the fiction behind it.
Yeah, I like that. Thanks. And Steve?
Yeah, so I have an idea, and I'm not sure how exactly it fits. The idea that I had was, I think what I'd like to do is I'm thinking it might be a long-term project. I'd like to create something that takes over another person. So, for example, I envision some kind of syringe or needle that you jam into the back of their neck or something, and then it broadcasts so someone else could control them. Specifically, maybe a corpse. Would that be a long-term project?
Yeah, that would be a long-term project.
Yeah,
and it's specifically for corpses, you say?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, let's say an 8 project thing.
Okay.
I would totally like to help you because my downtime action is going to try to like do some insight training. So I think because you have a bunch of dots in modify and stuff in study, it's me coming to you like, hey, I saw what you did for Gabrish. This is not where I'm good at. I know that you're really good at this. Can you like help teach me how to do some stuff? And so like maybe this is like oh yeah, you're the intern, go grab these supplies and these things. So like I need a body. I'm like, I can get you a body.
That's right. Yeah. Can you find me a corpse that I could look at? Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I think this will be mechanically you inventing something, right? And then later you'll be able to craft it, and we can go through that part later once you fill in the thing.
So I think that right now it's a study, and then eventually it'll be tinker, right?
Totally. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
Cool. And you roll an extra die because your friend is helping you in a downtime action cross.
Okay.
By dragging in a body. Very good.
Sweet, and that's the one that gets you the full success on it. So you get 3 ticks, or you can spend a jewel and make it 5 ticks.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to spin the jewel.
Cool. Yeah, so that's pretty close for one action. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's totally my downtime action is the insight training and helping out there.
Cool. Awesome. How close are you all to an upgrade to? Oh, this session you'll probably get it too. So that's cool. Okay. Oh, it says you have 1 crew advancement, so why don't you guys do that as well?
Mm-hmm.
We have 1 crew advancement to spend at the beginning of the June sessions with the new crew members. Cool. So you could take a special ability from any crew playbook, or you could get a new cohort, which is like mechanically a group of people specifically tailored to a singular purpose, like thugs or whatever, like rooks, like the slidey, thiefy people. Or increase under layer and quality. Get 2 little boxes there, or a crew upgrade.
So I don't know how we want to do this, but I kind of like the idea of where we're helping, extending on what Cross and Gabrish were doing earlier. Is like maybe that's part of our cohort, is like we're giving a bunch of people like new jobs and integrating them into, and like maybe pushing them towards like that sneaker net. So like towards like that information gathering or information like running type thing. And I don't know exactly what type of cohort that would be, but like I feel like we've already sort of set up some fictional positioning for that.
Yeah, it'd be the runners, probably elite runners.
Well, yeah.
Cool. So that's 1. And then what else? Do you want clincher rigging? 2 free load of weapons or gear. It should be cleaner rigging.
Oh, are we getting?
Do you get 2 things?
Yeah. I thought.
Oh yeah, because you've got the cohorts, right? Never mind.
Yeah. Don't we have to spend one to get to actually get?
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. If everyone's good with that, is everyone okay with that? Getting some runners?
Do we want to start with elite runners? Can't we just have normal?
That technically not really.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah. They're rags to riches, basically, I guess. And I will tell you, let me just find the cohort page. I'll tell you exactly what they're good at. So make sure that you want those ones. So they are runners. Oh, nice. So I believe I've equated them to skulks, which are scouts, infiltrators, thieves. Makes sense. That's the kind of thing you're going for, fictionally? Yoshi?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Cool. Okay. So when you go on a mission, these people can be with you, or you can send them to do stuff. And essentially what we do is we roll your tier quality for abstracting what they're doing in the fiction. So if you send them to like go rough up people or infiltrate something or get information and stuff, we can make those rolls on their behalf and get it. Make sense? Cool. And you're actually pretty close to another upgrade, because I remember you were 1 away the previous game to getting an upgrade, and then you did that mission and you got a hella XP. So yeah. Okay, so now we enter free play unless somebody wants to spend a jewel to get an additional downtime action now and do something. Otherwise, this game doesn't differentiate between rolls made now or in the past, so you can always flash back and do an additional downtime action at any time, really. So that's a thing to get your head around sometimes with this game. So, going into free play mode, what are people most interested in seeing this session? Is there any wishes from Steve, maybe? Like, is there something like cool that you just really want to see from the fiction or anything that we can drive towards?
I'll have to think about that for a little bit. Can you come back?
Sure, yeah. Anybody else have ideas? Stuff that they want to see, do, be? An idea for a score? Work towards a claim on your sheet? Any particular factions or a part of the fiction that they want to see? Anything like that?
Well, can you remind us what the coil is again?
The coil? Okay.
Yeah.
The coil are called dippers. Let me just find their thing. So they're dippers who take data from streams being piped out of the headquarters of information in a better district than yours, which is basically, think of it as an entire city, right? It would be like a district, which is LA or something, with a lot of people and a lot of space. And basically what they did was they set up sort of like Wi-Fi antennas and stuff in that district to intercept data coming out of information, and then they sell that data. But there has been trials for that group because this group has set them up, and basically the head of the coil, they use just letters for names like J, B, N. J was the leader of it, a pardon tipper, as long as he was doing this information on behalf. They were kind of like being puppeted by other crews. But because they were constantly framed, I have here that like basically one wrong move and they were sent back to incarceration. And so that's what happened. You guys kept framing them, and Jay is in the slammer basically. And now the other, they're just a tier 1 group as well. They're on par with you now. And so they're sort of like trying to clear Jay's name, but you guys keep fitting shit on them, basically. But yeah, it's interesting because generally you would think of them as like a haunt community that is specifically targeting corporations and stuff. But they've been pinned with like murders and all this stuff that you guys did, right? Like you've murdered people and made sure that cameras have seen you wearing coil wear and like stuff like that, right? So it's becoming hard for them to clear their name and stuff.
I have a big idea.
Mm-hmm.
What if we move to like integrate the coil into the constant gardeners?
Interesting. They probably would hate you, right?
I mean, think they already do, but their leader's in jail. So if ever there was a time to pull the rug out from somebody.
We're scavenging some of their members who maybe don't want to be associated with the coil anymore.
Sure.
And I guess maybe the goal, right, would be that we would leverage their dipper things. So instead of having to like go through them, we would just get that information now, right? So if we want to keep striking corporations or something, be easier, ideally.
Okay. Is that a claim that you're going towards?
Well, probably.
Like, I would say, although training rooms we might just have to rewrite, it might be a +1 scale for your runner cohorts that you just got, right? Because you're getting more of them. And then maybe repurposing them for that task, or it could definitely be data brokers, right? That's kind of their fictional positioning already, plus 2 joules for lower class targets. It could kind of be abstracted to corp contracts or something too. Bear in mind too that on this claim sheet you can target anything. Like there is the path that you're supposed to go on, but you can technically target anything. But if it's further out, I'm supposed to make it harder for you fictionally to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we want to make it a claim, data brokers or hack surveillance might work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up for other ideas, though. I was just thinking we've been fucking with the coil so much.
I mean, the other thing that I kind of like the idea of is trying to work it into the corp contracts, especially if we keep trying to go after higher tier groups than us. So like they get us information that we can sell to get more money, and maybe that's sort of our fictional positioning towards offering whoever it is like, yeah, your boss is in jail because he was not good at his job of like keeping you guys secure and like making sure things happen. We can actually do that, and if you actually want some jewels, like we've got the capability of getting this done, whereas he didn't. That's why he's not here anymore.
Right. Yeah, that could be a thing. I think that makes sense since they're dippers. They could definitely intercept this information, and that's how you would get more money each time you do high class stuff, right? Any other thoughts, Steve? Did you think about it a bit and have something?
I kind of like the idea of recruiting coil agents because that also helps us put more heat on coil themselves, because we have known coil agents that are now working for us doing things, and coil will get blamed. But yeah.
Right. And so like even the coil itself doesn't care that they're being like blamed because they kind of like don't exist. It's basically like a front of something of yours, like something like that, right? That would be interesting. Okay. Jesse, are you on board with this thing? Cool. So
do like we represent this as a clock that we're trying to work on to get somebody?
it could be a score.
Okay. Yeah, that works too. I'm good with that.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be a score. Let's see. Does it do any does anybody have a particular kind of plan that they'd like to execute, and then we'll work towards that fictionally? An assault plan, a deception plan. Sounds like maybe deception-y. A stealth plan, AOG, which is specialized tech or act of God that you're targeting, social connection, or transport.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it does feel either sort of like deception or social to me.
I was gonna push for saying maybe since we have a history with like making people disappear and getting people into different districts or out of the city, maybe the deal we've made is like getting coil members to a safer location. So maybe it's a transport, right? That we've already set this up and we're like, hey, we need to get you through here and then we'll have this leverage or whatever.
Right. That sounds cool. I like this too because it kind of plays into Silver's thing if you're not going to be here next week. You're in future ones though, right?
Right. I think I'm not next week, but the week after. Yeah.
Okay.
So
like fictionally though, it makes sense to have a fuse because you're all like infiltratey and all that kind of stuff, right? So
I imagine I'm out there tending the tea plants when one of you comes up and asks, "Hey, mind helping us out with something?" or something like that.
yeah, cool. All right. So if we're working towards deception, is it, or social?
I'm up for any three of those.
Yeah.
So
transport, deception, social. Because if we're transporting somebody,
like, so you're kind of like evacuating these people from themselves or whatever, right?
Yeah.
From their group, the coil.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I kind of even like deception for that as well, though, right? Like making it seem like they're even dead or something like that, right? Like that would be interesting to just be like, don't look for these members from the coil because they're dead or gone or whatever, right? Instead of, because otherwise, well, we would definitely know what abstracting the heat would be, right? Because they'd be like, we're gonna get you. But
do we want to have? I guess originally I was thinking like we were absorbing the assets of the coil or whatever, but then it was interesting what Steve was saying that we have like double agents basically. So I guess if we don't want to make them seem like they're dead if we want the double agents, but that would be good if we want to just like absorb them into our organization.
Yeah, because like in my head, what I'm vibing on right now is like Silver as a fuse disguising themselves as a sentinel or an auditor or something like that, and being like, doing the like, I'm gonna bust you unless you do what I say, right, or something like that. Just because I looked at Fuse's profile picture and it's literally being like a police officer, right?
I imagine they're looking pretty much like that, just minus the badge most of the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically, my advice as usual is just to select the funnest plan, right? The thing that you want to see in the fiction, and then we select your detail, and then in free play we gather the information until you're ready to do a score, and then we just go to score, right?
I'm totally down for having Silver be the auditor, like trying to do this. I even like the idea of like Cross, because they know the constant gardeners have kind of been a pain for him. Is like Cross just like being in the background, like trying to be stealthy, but like actually being completely obvious to like leverage that help of like, you see, like they're coming for you. Like if the only reason why they're not showing up is because I'm here, right? Is because I like as the authority is here right now. But like if you don't come with me, you're gonna get fucked up.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Also a thing to be aware of, Steve, and everybody else too, is the XP trigger second wise when you express your belief drives culture or background. I think of expressing culture as any time that you like, I want culture to be something that people express as they do it in the fiction. So so as to kind of open up the fiction in that way, like you could say like the kind of language that you speak, the kind of food that you like, what underworld stuff looks like, any kind of self-expression of culture will also get you XP. So that's just a thing to be aware of as you're going through free play and framing your own scenes and all that kind of stuff. Also, a thing that kind of gets missed sometimes in this game because of the structure that we've moved from is the personal scenes and dynamics between people. So if anybody wants to have like a specific scene where they're convincing each other of a plan or getting it in, instead of us abstracting it at a player level, you can totally bring it into a character level and express it that way. And then that would be a good way to hit the beliefs, drives, heritage, cultural background, etc. stuff, right? So keeping that in mind, do people want to do a deception method thing? Or, yeah? Cool. So yeah, the detail that we need is the method of deception, which means that generally you probably want to be gathering more information about the coil and all that kind of stuff, because we know of them, but we don't really know where they're located and how to infiltrate them and etc. All we know is that you guys have been constantly dumping on them. Basically.
Could we kind of like sum up what we've got for the plan at this point, the basic idea behind it, just to kind of, I know there were a bunch of ideas thrown out and I'm just trying to narrow in on what we're doing.
Yeah. So deception, lure, trick, or manipulate, detail the method of deception. Once we have that, we go to the plan. But yeah, in terms of if we're doing a deception, do people, I like the idea of Fuse posing as a higher figure or whatever, right, in order to strong arm these people into doing it, especially because you know that all authority kind of have leverage on Coil right now because Jay is being held in incarceration. So it could totally be like you work for us now if you want Jay to get out of prison or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what do people think?
So I could totally see, because Cross has done this in the past, of like doing survey of like, especially with her eye, her cybernetic eye, to basically go like monitor paths of where people from the coil are going, basically to get a whole bunch of like surveillance photos essentially in video to figure out who is the most susceptible, which
and they're like base and stuff,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like
cool.
of the coil operatives, who's the person who seems like they are the most dissatisfied and willing to like to break from the coil, like become a double agent or work for somebody else. And so like the first part of that, I think, is just like taking like surveying and taking a bunch of photos and videos and like watching people and stuff like that.
Right, because we already have established that you guys know what gear and stuff they look like because you've been impersonating them many times.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Jesse, were you going to say something? I saw your mute.
Offer to help. I could also help with that one if you're interested. Like Hunt is the the trying to remember what it is in this system. Is it good? Trace. Yeah, that's my one of my primary things. So I'm imagining I could also be helping you out with a specific deal. Maybe we're kind of like you're from one angle, taking pictures, whatnot. I'm kind of like maybe down on the ground, following them like in the nitty gritty and stuff like that. Yeah.
That sounds awesome to me.
Cool. So go ahead and take an extra die on this.
So cool. I like that too because we had a few episodes ago the Steve, who is not here anymore, kind of like backhacked them and stuff. So I would imagine like maybe that's the bits of data that you have to work on right now, right? Cool. So right. Give me an action roll.
Yeah, so this is survey, mostly because I'm leveraging that cybernetic eye, but definitely talking through with Silver of like actually tracing people down. Unfortunately, both of those die were not very good.
Did you roll the extra for help?
Yeah, I've only got 1 dot in survey.
Okay, sounds good. So with a 1 or 2 and gather information, it's fine. You still get to ask a question. We're out of downtime actions though, so it's kind of like the risky standard actually matters a little bit. But yeah, what is the exact question that you want to pose? For which I will answer and give you limited information because
I think it's basically which is the coil operative that is most likely to like to flip or turn on them, or like that's basically which one is most vulnerable to our advances.
Right. Okay, I'll try not to pick a white fuckboy again, because every time we have these people, I always select some like douchey guy that I hate or something. So I'll try to be better at that. Because yeah, before I did that guy who looked like the Social Network guy, and I like actively hated him in the fiction. So, let's see.
You just had this secret wish. It's like they should just kill him. They should just kill him.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I like this. Yeah, we'll go with this one. This guy's pretty cool looking. Okay, so this is the picture of the person, and their name is N. And the kind of like underworld musings of what is known of N that you get for free is that they are naive, young, and have an inferiority complex. So that's why I chose them. And yeah, so dark skin, they have like a tattoo sort of thing on the side of their head with a buzz cut, and it looks like kind of like they're counting their kills kind of thing, like one of those douchey tattoo things where they're like a notch on the belt, right? And you don't know exactly what it's for. There's a lot of speculation in the underworld about it, right? Some people are like, it's the number of kills, it's the number of hacks, it's the X, right? And chances are during your surveillance, when they go to different bars and stuff, it probably is actually a different story every single time anyway, right? They can't keep it straight. It looks like they were recently roughed up a little bit. They have like a band-aid over their nose, which is kind of funny because the technology-wise, the nanites would probably repair something like that in like, you know, a minute or two or something like that. So it's kind of a weird thing and of note. Dark skin, you know that they're armed. I don't think they're walking around with an assault rifle like in this picture, but they're definitely packing heat, and inferiority complex is probably your best vulnerability way to like leverage them, right? And yeah, I think they frequent that bar that we were talking about in the docks before when you guys ran that mission. I can't remember what we called it though. Pardon?
The hunt? No, that's the casino.
That's the casino thing, yeah, where Yeji was.
The Yellow Brick Road.
Yes, the Yellow Brick Road. Yes, that's where he frequents a lot, and it's kind of like divey, and yeah, we can paint the scene again if we ever go in there again, because it's probably changed. It's been probably like a year or something, but yeah. So that is the most susceptible person to you. Is that good? And as part of the risky part of this, I'm going to increase, because I haven't done it in a while, the carrion clock trying to find the haunts. Backtracing, Darren said.
That's not necessary.
It's necessary. We haven't moved it up in a long time. I've been very nice about that clock.
Yeah, that's true.
So, everybody, as part of your items also, it is assumed that you guys have some means of communication between everybody. So we can assume everybody knows this information. The name is just N. And position is literally grunt in the organization. And I think that during your trailings of him, you see that like he's trying to clear Jay's name, right? Like he's trying to rough up people in these underworld places and be like, who's setting us up and all that kind of stuff. And ironically, you are tracing him the entire time, which I find tickles me. So who else has any ideas for gathering more information? and they can totally piggyback off this scene, right?
I have a question, and we don't have to get into it because I don't want to take too much time. But can I incarcerate myself?
Sure. Like willingly just turn yourself in or something.
Well, I mean, sure. Yeah, just so I can go have a nice conversation with
Jay?
the leader. Yeah, Jay.
Yeah. So I was also thinking of this, and I thought it would be really fun if Silver did that as well, because they could impersonate the law officer that will then put the screws on the coil and kind of establish that fake identity or new thing or whatever. And then maybe both of you guys could go and do this or something. I don't think you need to like incarcerate yourself to get the visit that way, because if the identity is well enough from Silver, you would just be getting an audience anyway, right?
So
To do that impersonation, like, do I need to go back and like do a flashback to like a acquire asset thing to get like uniform identification, that kind of stuff? Would that be?
Oh, does the Fuse have find disguise kit? I thought they did.
Let me double check.
Yeah, you have a disguise kit, and it's actually, I think it's fine now. I think I changed that on the playbook. Fuse, yeah, a fine disguise kit. So you have like a really good one.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, great. Then I'll just use that.
Cool. And so are you bringing like Cabrace? Are you like dressed up as a police officer too, or something, or like what is the scene?
well, maybe this is just that Silver through to her impersonation. Oh my god, I can't say it. Impersonation. Can just get me like visiting hours. Maybe it's like a private room or
Sure.
something.
Totally.
If Silver's up with that, I guess I should be asking them that.
Inserting myself into the guard schedule basically, and like kind of making sure your name is on the visitation like logs and everything. You know, the appointments, and like just making sure that you're the one. Yeah, you can get in when you need to.
Cool. Then I will be wearing my fine clothes and jewelry.
Nice.
Maybe I'm like, I think that I'm gonna lie to Jay, and I want to be like, maybe representing a corporation, and I want to be flipping the coil. Maybe do you want to just run a scene?
Sure. Does anyone else want to be in this scene as well?
Hmm.
Or do you want this to be alone too, Darren? I should ask that first, I guess.
No, there can be other people. I just, instead of like, talking it through, like I think it could be a cool thing to see on screen. Or,
Yeah. So does anybody else want to be in this scene?
I would like to see more of the
Old man?
Yeah, so maybe he's there as like the with like some of the information, since you used to be a tipper, like you have like some of that insight and like that voice of authority that like, yeah, I know these things type thing.
Well, and also, if you're posing as a corporate exec or something, I could see the old man being like protection for this executive from this prisoner or something like that. Whatever you think, Steven.
Yeah, so I think the old man could accompany this, and he would basically be on the side, um, sort of like an assistant, almost like a knowledgeable secretary,
Oh, cool.
for information that might come up, as they talk to Jay. Yeah.
Cool. And so, are you like in your like assistant gear or whatever? Like, is it
Yeah.
like suit and tie, or what does it look like?
So I think this is actually typically old man is in his lab coat, but I think that in this case he puts on different clothing, so this is going to look more techy, like he's more, and he probably shaves his beard and colors his hair to be darker, specifically I guess with I think it's the Fuse's help, just so that he looks different because he might be recognized otherwise. But yeah, um, and he's um, looking like he's there in a technological information kind of perspective, not necessarily a doctor perspective. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And so, Gabrace, you're looking fancy AF or what?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's Gabrace. Gabrace is in. It's probably just like a entirely impractical evening gown. Because like that idea, that height of luxury where like they can just there's gonna be no work done. They can just walk around looking fabulous. So it's an evening gown and maybe a very practical jacket. That's something like a motorcycle jacket. So it appears like it's a bulletproof thing, but of course it's not. It's just a jacket.
Okie dokie. Sounds good. And yeah, we'll get a picture soon, but Jay is calculating, delicate, graceful is what they appear to you as the NPC, like hitting whatever the primary things about them, right? And oh, here's a picture. Yeah, sure. I like that picture a lot. It reminds me of like that really attractive Santa Claus guy, like on the news. The guy in Toronto, that's his thing. Cool. So that's Jay. I think that's them in like their prime. They're looking super weathered now. They've been in jail for a little while. I think it would be a few sessions back that I mentioned this, so I think it'd be like 6 months or something like in there, right? They're in a it'll be completely white jumpsuit because they're always doing labor and might be out in the sun and stuff, right? So it's definitely not black or anything or a dark color. White wispy hair, white beard, and yeah, they're just looking a little bit like run down because everything in prison is like varying degrees of different manual labor unless you're skilled and you're crafting like the sheaths for jewels and stuff, right? So literally their whole time is just winding up these sources of material, and it's free manual labor, etc., etc. Capitalism, post-capitalism, bad. Yeah, and so he sits down expecting like the police officer, I guess, initially, right? And he kind of like scoffs a little. There's a what cool futuristic way would they quarantine y'all? Maybe like a rival style window thing, right? That's like covering both and maybe even abstracts his appearance just a little bit as well, to show that it's like thick enough and probably bulletproof, etc., all that kind of stuff. But when he talks, the voice comes through easily enough, right? And he says, it's just like sentinels to say one thing and show another.
Mr. J. Can I call you Jay?
That's nobody knows my real name, least of all me. And he kind of like chuckles, right?
So dramatic in the underworld.
Yeah.
Jay, I'm gonna get right down to business. I represent Carrion, and we are looking for a particular group, and we've heard that you've had some trouble with them. I don't know if you know who the Constant Gardeners are, but they may have been causing a lot of trouble for you. We, however, could use some of your assets to finally track them down and take care of them.
Is this some kind of a joke? You want me to give you a bunch of my underworld contacts, as you say it, to a corporate executive? How do I know this isn't just some like sting operation where you just find the rest of my group and put them away for good?
How many issues have you had with Carrion in the past, Jay?
Well, not much. We're low on the totem pole.
So why do you think we would care at all about cleaning you up? What I'm saying, I'm prostrating myself before you, because I'm saying we need your assets to end this group who's causing us all problems. I don't care what you do after that.
And let's go to a roll then, because I think you're convincing him, right? So,
Yeah.
mechanically, Steve, what we could be doing here is, it sounds like for sure Gerbereich is maybe leading a group action, which means you're both trying to accomplish the same thing, and mechanically we would take the highest result with both of you rolling. Or you could be assisting, which is granting an extra die to Gerbereich and taking 1 stress for it.
So I prefer the assisting. And I think what that looks like is while he is talking, I'm monitoring his vital signs, and I'm giving a signal that whether or not he is being honest or not.
Mm.
You know, he has an elevated pulse rate. He's sweating. This looks like he might be lying, something like that.
Awesome. I like that a lot. Cool. So take 1 stress on your track, and Gerbereich, take the extra D. And so what action do you think this is?
I think it is. Well, I think it's control, really, because what I'm getting at is like, you can either help us and we'll help you, or you can stay in
Yeah.
here and rot.
Yeah, it's not really a charming thing, right? It's like
No.
take the deal, final answer, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So I think it'll be a risky position, right?
Mhm.
And standard effect, it'll just either, he'll believe you or he won't. And the effect will be normal.
I think I'm gonna push myself as well.
Okay, so plus 1D for 2 stress.
Where'd it go? No, don't do this. Roll 20. Where'd my prompt go?
I could offer a ripple too, which
Oh
is
yeah, I should ask that.
throughout this we have been pollinating that your faces have gotten out, though, on various different jobs. That has been other ripples. So I could offer a ripple saying that, like, no matter what happens after this, he remembers the face, or like somebody sends the data to him or something. Like, however, he places you as one of the faces that we're setting him up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Sounds good. So now, whether you fail or succeed, that happens just for Steve's benefit. And mechanically, Steve, he doesn't have to push himself to get the die now. It's a free thing, but it's also kind of like a harder move in the fiction.
Would it be possible for him to push himself and get a ripple?
No, it's it's one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that was not the best performance. That wasn't a command performance, Gabrish. So, here's what happens on... So it's a risky situation, though, so it's not the worst, right? Could have been worse. On a 1 to 3, things go badly. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you end up in a desperate position. You lose this opportunity. So I think what I'm going to do is accelerate that little timeline that I had here, where you see his like eyes sort of moving around, like it's the GIF with the doing the math, right? As he's trying to figure stuff out. And I think he like puts it together, and he's like, he smiles, and he's like, I've seen your face before. And mechanically, you're ending up in a desperate position. I won't take it away because that would be desperate, losing the opportunity. But he says, if you've already done enough to me, and I understand why you would do these things. I assume that you're with the constant gardeners, because I know this face. All's well that ends well in the underworld, I suppose. But you're going to have to be honest with me if you actually need my help or want it.
All right, Jay.
Remember, you can resist consequences as well.
Oh yeah, I always forget that. Yes. No, I like this too much.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, Gabrish says, okay, Jay, yeah, I'll level with you. There's no reason that we've been targeting you guys. You're just an unfortunate casualty. But the offer still stands. Like, no, we're not carrying, but we can get you out of this position. And in case Carrion ever did come down on you, well, I think we'd be stronger together. than at each other's throats.
Okay. Well, mechanically, you have to. It's sort of like the try another way thing, right? So you need to frame it in such a way that you're swaying instead of
Oh yeah,
control,
not
which
an
is
ultimatum.
which is you're still controlling, I think, in the fiction.
Oh man. Well, I don't know. Maybe I should just resist then, because
Well, I think you could still be charming about it, right? Like, I think you could be, or you could have try another way as a different character doing the same tactic as well. So old man could be the one who levels the ultimatum instead of you. And also, a piece of bargaining that you still have is you can still dangle the like we'll still get you out even as the constant gardeners, right? That's a good bargaining chip still that you may or may not actually be able to do.
yeah, does the old man have an idea?
Um.
I've done enough.
Yeah. So we're still trying to get information from this guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my goal here really to like put it was just like getting an asset to help us like locate these people and
Like
do
basically
this
know
work.
where their base is and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know. No, I don't have a good idea right now. I had some ideas about how to plug the hole. Potentially how to take care of this guy.
Okay. Oh, and it's also important mechanically. I didn't say this, but when I level a consequence like that, anybody can resist it because there's a protect action. So that if you have an idea but Gabrish doesn't on how to resist him seeing through the disguise and all that, you could say, I want to resist for Gabrish, and this is how I do it, and it just happens. All resistance rolls automatically succeed, but you take stress and you make a stress roll, and we see how much that would be.
So, let me tell you about a couple of things. Number one, I assume that you can't roll on anything that you don't have any points in.
You still can, but you roll 2 dice and you take the lowest result.
Okay.
But you can mechanically push yourself to get a die in anything at any time.
Yeah. Okay. You can also get another die by somebody else helping you, and you can also, instead of pushing, you can get the ripple. So even if you have 0 dots, you still may be able to roll 2 dice from it.
Okay. And then the other thing, so I'll toss out what I was thinking about was, I could either, I was thinking about using Ghost to take this guy out, and just end him so that the information about who we are doesn't get out into the rest of the world. However, the concern there is it doesn't push us forward in getting information. The only way I could think of something like that was maybe that means we could go to the second in command.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's fine. I think you wouldn't get the information, but yeah, he doesn't just like call up the coil right after this and be like, yo, you'll never know what happened. You'll never guess what happened or whatever, right? So I like that.
I mean, the other thing, what to me that signifies, if you wanted to try to convince him right now of this, is like in all those interrogation rooms, there's always the glass of water that they're trying to get the suspect to drink, and like to like leave fingerprints or whatever it is. But like, I think maybe like it's something like where it's poisoned or something like that, where he drank it, and you're like, yeah, we have the antidote. We can give that to you, or you could just slowly die here in prison. Your call. And that way you can use your control because it's somebody different, not necessarily Gabrish, and giving you that avenue to do that.
Exactly. So like, for instance, if that was something that appealed to you, Jesse could be like, I spend 1 stress to do a flashback in which I did poison the water, and that happens. So what do you think?
So yeah, I like the idea that we tell him he is already infected by nanites. This could potentially be through, something he's eaten, or just they've infiltrated the air that he's breathed in or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
And tell him that we have the means to disable them.
Cool. Okay. And is this a bluff, or is this a real thing that you've actually done to him?
No, I think we've actually done this.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do a flashback action, and see if that actually, like, the action takes place, right? So who's done this?
What if
What?
What if the bluff is actually whether or not we let him survive?
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we still need to do the action roll in the past of doing the thing that we want in the future to have happened. So
Okay.
who did that to him?
I think it would have to be Silver, right? I mean, I think that Silver getting in, prepping the room, right before, during the infiltration. I think that makes sense.
Cool. Yeah, do it up.
Slip something into, like you say, into that glass of water or something like that. I think that would work.
Okay. I think it's a control position standard effect.
Okay.
And take 1 stress for doing the flashback.
Okay, taking a stress there, and I'm imagining this is like Ghost for kind of sneaking that into the water while doing other normal stuff.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Sounds good. Okay. There. And you said controlled?
Yeah.
Controlled standard?
Yeah. Are you pushing yourself? Ooh, you guys. Well, you can still, if you want to push yourself, you can roll 1 die.
Okay, I can do that. I'll do it. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Oh wow, that is lucky shit. Okay, cool. So yeah, just give me the quick scene of you doing that.
Yeah, I think it's very simple. Like I went in, inserted myself into the guard's schedule very, like quickly, got, Gabrish and the old man's, names on the, the guest list, scheduled to come in. And in setting up this room really quickly, I water in, but you just see like something kind of coming out of my sleeve as I'm setting the water glass down like this, just kind of going right in there. And then I just go back to my normal duties.
Cool. And then we flash forward, and then Steve, what do you say to this guy?
I tell him that he is that he should cooperate with us, or else he will experience the death that we have planned for him, and the only way he has to avoid it is to work with us and give us what we need.
Cool. I like that. Okay, so what action do you think that is?
Let's see. Convincing him would be no. So I don't know. What sounds good? Sway? Control? What is control?
I think it would be control. Sway is more about charming and like just being like nice and getting your way, whereas control is like, you're gonna do this. This is the thing that you will do.
Okay.
I could give you a bonus die on it if you want to.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So I imagine you're making this kind of threat, and I've been standing at the door, just kind of at attention, doing normal guard duty. And I think this is the first time I like make eye contact with Jay and just wink at him, and then go back to my normal thing. Obviously that I'm in on all this.
Cool. I like that. And then you can push yourself for an additional die, or if people have ripples, they can offer them. I think an obvious one would be, no matter what happens here, Carrion gets word back that somebody was impersonating one of them. Because maybe one of the guards is like, oh, it's weird that Carrion came in or whatever, right?
Okay.
You can take that or not, too. It's just an option.
No, I just pressed the button. I might have to roll real dice. I pressed the button and the little window isn't coming up, so...
Oh, wait, it'll be below your sheet, or you can just push it again and another one will pop up.
Yeah, I've seen it before. It's just, I clicked on it and instead it said, oh, we're having a problem with this page. Do you want to wait? So...
Oh, never mind. Okay.
So the dice mechanics would be, so I don't have any pips in command, so that would be I'd roll 2 and take the lowest. And then I add in an additional die for the ripple that you discussed, and an additional die for
assisting too. Yeah, so you'll end up rolling 2 and taking the highest instead of rolling 2 and taking the lowest.
Okay. I rolled a 6 and a 3. Okay.
Okay, awesome. So 6 is a full success.
Yes.
So And the goal is to basically turn him. And basically at any point you could just be like, and you're dead, right? And we
Yeah.
already have proven that that is a correct thing. Cool. So I think you... What?
Yeah, I think what we're looking for, if I'm not mistaken here, is that he tells us the information about how to recruit some of his members.
Yeah, and like his hiding place or something, right? So with the sex, you guys can each pose a question to me and ask a follow-up question. So ask like a targeted, PBTA style question, get good information, and then ask a follow-up as well. There is example gather information questions on each playbook, but you're not restricted to those. Those are just examples. You can literally ask exactly what you want to know, and I will answer.
So I think I'll start with where is the hiding place for so should it be, so I was thinking I would ask for, where is your headquarters?
Okay.
Yeah, so let's do it with that.
Sure, that sounds great. Let's see. So they operate out of what ostensibly looks like a warehouse in the green zone, a few miles away from y'all's place. Trying to see if I can find a cool picture, but basically it was a new building that they have sort of like retroactively made look really shitty and like bad from the outside, but as soon as like the bay doors or an open door, like man-sized door or whatever into the space is, like as soon as you go into the place, it looks brand new and it's like minimalistic and white and all that kind of stuff. But their way of being hidden is to make it look like a place that nobody would enter. So it's like graffitied up. Picture like a normal size warehouse on the docks that looks like it's rusted and like you'd get tetanus going into this place, basically, right? But yeah, that's where they're located, and it is close to the docks as well. P.S. What?
My follow-up question is, what kind of defenses does it have?
Yeah, good question. So they have cameras and they have. Let me see, actually, because they lost a group member. I'm just gonna do a quick fortune roll. Oh, nice. So they have perimeter surveillance visual that is like multi-spectrum stuff, and then inside they have like the Mission Impossible heat sensitivity thing. So every time somebody comes in, the temperature would go up from the heat emission of the person's body, and it would trigger it. Cool. And Silver, you were the one that was helping, right? Yeah. Do you want to ask a question?
So we got location, we have defenses. We already know that we're going to be targeting N specifically, right?
He's the most vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah, the most vulnerable. I think specifically asking in what way N is the most vulnerable, like at this point, like what avenue makes them the most vulnerable. Is that a reasonable thing to ask here?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, he kind of like chuckles and is like when you say like we already know about N and like how can we get to N, he sort of like does like the little like knowing chuckle thing and says that while N doesn't run the show, right? N's partner B is the person who's running this place, and B sort of has like a soft spot. Like they listen to N's opinion, even though it is usually generally not very good, which is why it is bad that Jay is in jail by his own admission. And they are B is rigid, pragmatic, and hyper-focused. So pragmatic deals would be how you would get to them, as well as if you convinced N of something or held them hostage or whatever. They really care about N as like a person and their partners, right? So you could go that way. And N is naive and young, right? So it probably wouldn't take too much to change their mind or whatever. So you could go at it as a forceful manner or just with words, however which way would be pretty effective. And yeah, and the group is kind of like slowly deteriorating from this really not the relationship, but the performance of the leadership at the moment, right? As especially it doesn't help that you guys keep knocking on murder charges and shit. So cool. Do you have a follow-up question to that?
You're asking me specifically or anybody?
Anybody, I guess.
I'm not really sure what else we need or want right now. If anyone else wants to chime in, feel free.
I would wonder how we could convince Jay to join us.
Jay. Interesting.
I mean, it's another body.
I mean, other than him not dying or whatever, like willingly or what?
Yeah.
Interesting. That would be tough, I think.
That's understandable.
Let's see. What could you offer? Well, I mean, they've already established that they kind of know about like the underworld, right? It's not like you specifically are the worst people ever. Like he kind of gets why people do this in the underworld and is sort of like pragmatic about how he was screwed, right? I think getting him out of here is the major obvious thing, right? Like actually getting him out. If you can actually get him out, then some sort of partnership might be in order, if only to stop getting dunked on by you guys all the time, right?
Cool.
Yeah. And we'll say it's like it might not actually be a family, but they operate like a family unit too. So there's incentive in reuniting J, B, and N, right? J and B, GBN, B and J, whatever. Cool. So
Gabrish, is that something you're interested in?
Yeah. At least after the score, I mean, we'll see how everything adds up. But at the very least, I probably would do like a long-term project or something, or maybe it could be like another score later on or something. But yeah, I definitely want to bust them out, get the family back together.
Well, that could be a thing where like a prison break thing, right? Where you go in to like get rid of your incarceration level, wanted level to drop it down, but then also like stage another plan or a score or something from that. That would be fun and neat and cool. Cool. So, should we go to the engagement? Does everybody have all the information that they would like?
So I have a couple of things I'd like to mention. One is just flavor from that last scene.
Oh, sure, yeah, totally.
I think that's whenever, as soon as he tells us what he needs to know, I step forward and I say, thank you, and activate the nanites that are actually in a different guard.
Oh.
So
okay.
that, or a different prisoner or something like that. So that person drops dead. So Jay knows we weren't screwing around. This was real.
Okay, sounds good. Old man ain't fucking around. Cool.
And then as far as engagement, this is just the actual what we're going to do to recruit these people.
Yeah, so then we kind of do like a in medias res procedure to cut right to the interesting part of you doing the job. Now that we have the details that we need, and then it sort of abstracts what position you're in right away when we cut to the scene. You could be in like a desperate situation, you could be risky, you could be controlled, all for when you're hitting the first obstacle that I place in your way. But before we do engagement, is the plan to have the fuse look like the cop and do all this stuff still? To like put the screws to them that way, or what?
What do you guys think? I don't know.
I mean,
so, that sounds fine to me. I have an option. Which,
Mhm.
what about if we make a hit near their headquarters look like it's gone bad? So maybe there's an explosion or some kind of failed attack on them, and we tell N and D to drop and act like they are hit, like they're dead, and then we pull them out.
Oh, okay. So
And that's how we extract them. So this could still go in, the cops are there to clean up and they're taking away the bodies, and that's why we're getting to take them.
sure, you could acquire an asset of like some other dead bodies and then make them look like them or whatever, right?
What do you guys think?
I think that's interesting.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So, do you guys want to acquire an asset now using free plays being risky and stuff like that, or abstract it to a downtime action, acquire the asset, do the tier roll, etc.? It would cost 1 jewel to do a flashback downtime action to do that.
I mean, I could do it in the free play of like I've already getting a body for old man's other thing. I just picked up a couple of more.
Oh, right. Okay, sounds good. So let's abstract that just to 1 roll then.
So,
And you already did it during downtime, so why don't we just say to do a tier roll to see how good it is?
cool.
To
Yeah.
see how good it will fool the sentinels, right?
Yeah, and so the tier roll is on the constant gardener sheet, like that free
Yeah.
sheet. Right? Where is it? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Found it. There's just a lot of things. I gotta go find it through there.
There is a lot of stuff. Cool. So you get tier, which is plus you're 1, so it's a tier 1 fooling of the body, right?
Yeah. I just love the idea of like me bringing in like 4 or 5 bodies for old man for like his experiment, and like this is sort of like planned ahead of time, like for whatever reason, like no, this one kind of looks like somebody we need, and this one looks like somebody we need, so we'll keep those, and then I'll use this one for the experiment.
Cool. Mechanically, sentinels are tier 3, I think. The people that will probably be like looking at these things. So you can totally do it, but I'll probably start a clock until people are going to be like investigating it or something like that, and you guys can obfuscate that later or something.
Right, and when we're acquiring an asset, we can spend jewels to increase the tier of it.
Sure, yeah, you can spend a jewel to increase 1 tier at a time.
I'll spend because a 2-tier difference is going to make it really hard for us to convince them for long, right?
Yes, yeah.
But if I bump it up just by spending maybe 1 jewel to like a 1-tier difference, it'll still come after us, but probably not significantly. Like,
yeah, it would be like the clock would be longer instead of like a 4 clock. It'd probably be like a 8 clock or something.
yeah, I'll spend 1 jewel to bump it up 1 tier, so we have a 2-tier asset against
Okay.
a 3-tier.
If somebody wants to spend 1 more, then you wouldn't need a clock at all. It would fool them. It would be a tier 3 thing.
I'd be happy to donate a jewel to the cause.
Okay, so there you go. However, you've made these false things, it is good. Cool.
I just imagine like Mortician's makeup of like trying to like super glue the eyes closed or doing other things and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and like recreating the tattoos and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Cool.
And I imagine, we're doing like biosculpting, trying to make sure that the face is the right structure and all of that. And I think during that time, Elysian, the old man, says, I've worked on many bodies like this, people from the underworld like this are a dime a dozen.
Cool. I love it. Okay,
Like as your body sculpting and Gerbracious tattooing, I think Gerbracious like offended. Excuse me? You're not a dime a dozen.
Sweet. Okay, so the method of deception is like launching a false attack on them, right? So, bearing that in mind, you start off with 1 for sheer luck, as the underworld scoundrels that you are. Is this particularly bold or daring, you guys think?
I mean, I think it's partially bold because the coil hates us. And like we're trying to get them and leverage.
Sure, yeah. I'll give you 1 die for that. Is this operation overly complex? Not really.
No.
Well, we're faking a police sting and then getting out dead bodies, right?
Yeah, maybe it is then. Hey, yeah. Okay, so we'll remove 1
It
for
doesn't
that.
have to be, but
Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability? Yes, like most of what you guys were garnering was that fictional positioning, right? So that's a +1D. Are they strongest against this approach? No, because you're not even going against their security at all, right? You're fooling them in a different way. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid for this, do you think?
maybe a career criminal friend.
How would they help?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Maybe we use them as a proxy to get in contact with N and B to be like, listen, actually, you need to trust this.
Yeah, well, I could even see them as being the culprit, like the fake culprit that you're shooting at and stuff, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, like you using like rubber bullets or something like that against you getting like this whole stage act happening, right?
Yeah.
That could be cool. Cool. Okay, so
Thanks, Eva.
and then they're not a higher tier, so you won't lose a die like normal for you guys. Can your friends any enemies or rivals? Not at this time, I think. So it's 3 dice. Does someone want to roll that on the sheet for the engagement roll?
I do love rolling engagement.
Cool. Yeah, I just want to get something cool with the fuse doing something before we close out the session. Oh, okay. So there you go. So mechanically, that is a crit, Steve, which means what happens is not only do you end up in a controlled position, you completely circumvent the first obstacle as well. So why don't we have a cool thing to close out the scene? Why don't we have the fuse doing this thing, right? Like setting up this stage thing, and that's what we'll like end the episode on. Jesse, do you want to take that? I think the first obstacle is actually launching this fake plan of them, right? Like the obstacle would be actually doing whatever this act is, right?
I guess I'm trying to figure out what that is, like trying to understand exactly how we were approaching this. So we're having some type of fake attack against them is the idea. Do we know what that would be?
Well, if you're going to be the police officer, I like the idea of you. That's why you leave after this, right? Is like maybe you're the one along with the hired friend of Gabraish falsely fake attacking this place or something, right?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So and the place is what again? Like, is their?
It's a big warehouse.
Okay. All right. But am I trying to like draw? I'm still just trying to envision exactly what I'm trying to accomplish here. Am I trying to like draw people out because we need to get J and like D? Sorry.
N and B.
N and B. Get those two out. We're trying to get them out and swap bodies, right?
Yeah, well, I think you're going to be launching the fake attack, which the other people will repel you.
Yeah. Okay.
And then those you guys have their fake dead bodies or whatever, right? So I think it'd be like you probably fuck up this warehouse really good, right? Like
okay.
They're probably not going to be able to come back here, and there's probably like fire or explosions involved so that the charred remains or whatever.
Sure. Okay, so I'm imagining that I and like the person that the other person that was going to help out are like, I think we scout out the building. We go to like one side of this warehouse and we end up like planting like shaped charges in like a very large shape and everything. Like end up ducking behind like a building to the side, set this off, and it basically blows like this massive like square hole in the side of this warehouse that we kind of come in and we're laying down kind of fake fire as we're going into it, and I imagine that being the thing that they'll then repel.
Sweet. Love it. All right. And when we come back, you guys will be in a controlled position, that having gone off perfectly. Does that sound good for everybody to end it at?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Okay, so let's go opposite order. Yoshi, do you want to do XP, please?
Sure. Okay, my XP. Address a challenge with violence or intimidation. I think I did some intimidation earlier in like the downtime in the free play like parts, but not really much violence. So I'll take 1 XP for that. Beliefs, drives, culture, or background. What did I do? Like we talked about bunch of the stuff like obsession with nourish, but we didn't really act on it a whole
Right.
bunch.
But your
So-
background did, right?
Oh, but my background definitely helped. Yeah. So I'll
Yeah.
take 1 XP for that. Vice root trauma. I definitely bringing in like the root of like the forge and the forge community and stuff like that. So I'll take another XP for that. So I'll take 3 in total.
Cool. And Steve, do you want to go next?
Sure. So my XP triggers are address a challenge with technical skill or mayhem. So I would say that the long-term project, does that count as a challenge?
Definitely, yeah. Anything that's basically that requires a roll or an obstacle, even stuff that's mentioned in the fiction that enriches it, really counts too.
Okay. So I'd say that would be true. Possibly the mayhem that we're dealing with now.
Yep, that was your plan, right? So
Yeah. So that would be 2.
Yep.
Express my beliefs, drives, culture, or background. So in general, I like the idea that the founders look down upon the underworld. That's
Mhm.
why I'm hiding here, and that's why I meant. That's why I think it's not that big of a deal to kill.
Yeah.
Because these people aren't necessarily as important as those at a higher station.
Yeah, I think definitely 2 for beliefs drives heritage because everything that we learned about your character is new.
Do you think so?
And yeah, for sure. And also messing up that guy, right? Just being like, and he's dead. That was definitely an expression of your character, I think.
And then vice, root, or traumas. I don't think I had anything there.
Okay, cool. So with that 4 XP, Steven, you can place it anywhere you want on any track. So you could place it on the playbook to work towards another ability, or you can put it on insight, prowess, resolve, and when it's full, you can add another dot in any of the stuff below it.
Awesome. And playbook gets you another move. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And Jesse.
Yeah, let's see. So no desperate actions, but it says, do you address a challenge with stealth or precision? I think stealth definitely by putting whatever it was that we decided, like the nanites into that person's water, Jay's water, and then precision probably
Shape
for
charges?
the military, that setup of the fake incursion into their place.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe 2 for that, I guess. Express beliefs, drives, culture or background. I think definitely at least my military background with that kind of explosives and then infiltration kind of thing. So thinking 1 for that probably.
You could do probably also for the Blue Oolong crew, because you saw a lot of you coming from that.
I did bring in some of that. So okay, so we want to say 2 for that one then.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And then struggle with issues from vite, root, or traumas. Don't think I did that. So I think that's a total of 4 for me.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And Darren.
No desperate rolls, almost, and then I addressed a challenge with deception or influence. I sure tried. I think maybe just that one big prison scene though, right?
Yeah, but if that was the central fiction for your character.
Also, you did make up with bodies so that we could use it as a disguise. I think you did too.
That's a thing. Yeah.
Did I express my beliefs, drives, culture, or background? Well, a little bit of background, again, with preparing the bodies, tattooing them and stuff. I think that's kind of it, though. Well, I mean, I think I can make an argument, too, for beliefs just like trying to bring the coil into this and building this idea of community, and also like giving us access in the future for tearing down corporations.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll go with that.
Cool.
And then I struggle with vice root trauma. No, we
Cool. Do you want to do the crew one too, since you're already there?
yeah. Let me pull it up. Okay. Do we execute a successful accident, disappearance, murder, or ransom? Not yet. Contend with challenges above our current station? Don't think so. Unless you want.
We did once because we're dealing with the actual like investigators and that like the whole tier 3 moving the asset up to tier 3.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. And then bolster our crew's reputation, develop a new one. We are professional and deadly.
I think that was a thing.
I think so too.
Yeah, Steve fit right in. You did.
And then do we express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew? I think we did a little bit. I think we saw what we're usually up to, and I think definitely seeing Silver and Elysian. I think they fit in, yeah. Oh wait, that's funny. Steve fit in right in replacing the Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was a lot of expression of that stuff, right? Because you all are going after the coil, which is kind of an expression of the crew as well. And then also like the essential nature is kind of like expressed when kind of you like do the things from your reputation, right? Instead of culturing a new thing, your essential nature is doing things this sneaky way. You guys never do something head on, right? It's always like this weird twisty thing.
That's
so
true.
Yeah. So does that give you guys an advancement?
Yeah.
So what do people want?
Look at other crew sheets. It takes me 5 hours to open the PDF. I mean, just on ours, I think any of the training stuff is always good.
Yeah. Steve, when you select upgrades for training, there's Insight, Prowess, Resolve, and Personal, the XP tracks that you can go to. And if you have training in it, you get double the XP. Instead of 1 XP, you get 2.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Just when you do the action of training, though, in downtime.
Right, which is why like I did the downtime action of coming to you for training because it gave me 2 points in insight instead of 1 because we had that training.
Mm-hmm.
But I could totally see bumping up another one of those. Either personal is playbook. Like
yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm totally down for bumping either resolve or personal.
Also, if you want the next score to do the prison stuff, getting contacts in the grind, which is the prison of the setting, that would be a thing as well.
Ooh.
That's a good idea.
I'm good with either of those. I'm okay getting a contact in the grind. Or...
I like the fiction of that too, because you can always be like, as soon as that happens, we could even have like a scene where you're like, you have somebody else talk to Jay in the prison and be like, fucking like watching you right now, right? Like, so, but it's up to you. It is the cost of an entire upgrade, though. So, you know,
I really like grind contacts.
I'm good with that.
Awesome, let's do it.
Cool. So you got contacts and a training thing, or what?
Right, because we get 2.
Yeah, you get 2.
So yeah, contacts, and then what do you think? Training and playbook or resolve?
I'm good with either one of them. I think resolve is probably slightly more useful than the playbook. So maybe get the training and resolve.
Yeah, I mentioned that. I think it seems like generally people train their attributes more anyway.
Yeah, seems like it. Eh.
Sweet.
Oh, shoot. What was that action that Steve rolled with his own physical dice? Because that was a desperate action. You had devolved from risky to desperate, so you get 1 XP and whatever that was. It was a control, I think.
Yeah, it was
so,
a resolve.
Yeah, so mark 1 in resolve as well.
Okay.
Cool. Another wire. So I'm going to stop it.